Hey everyone, this is Matthew Doyle with the Autodesk Gameware team, bringing you a short tutorial for Unreal Engine 3 and UDK, specifically the May build of UDK, on how to use Scaleform's SetExternalTexture to render a rear view mirror for a car. As some of you may know, SetExternalTexture was causing crashes in UDK for a while now, but as of the May release, it is fully functional again. So I'm going to show you real quick how to use it, and let's just go ahead and get started with that. So you can probably see on my screen here I have a racing or car style HUD, and I've got obviously a rear view mirror here at the top. And we're going to use a scene capture 2D actor to display what the car sees behind it on that rear view mirror. Now all you really need to do is first of all create a texture in Photoshop or whatever image editing program you're using, save it as a PNG, and then import that texture into Flash. Now the texture doesn't need to be anything special. It will be replaced at runtime by Unreal. So here is my texture. It's just a little blue rectangle with the word rear view mirror on it. If I go into the library panel over here, you can see the texture is rear view mirror.png. Now the important thing we want to do, obviously first of all, we'll drag that onto the desk, to the stage, and position it as we would like. I've already got it on the stage, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And we also want to right click and choose properties, and of course we'll do all the usual stuff that is required for textures, allow smoothing, lossless PNG, but specifically in ActionScript 3 we're talking about Scaleform 4 here. Obviously you want export for ActionScript and export in frame 1 both checked, but in Scaleform 4 ActionScript 3 files identifier is grayed out, so we won't be entering an identifier. Instead, however, in the class field, we'll want to enter the name of this object to be used in Unreal Script to modify it. And in this case, I'm going to call it rear view mirror, all lowercase, no spaces. Now, the base class will be filled in automatically for you by Flash, and it should read flash.display.bitmap data. And then we just press OK to save that information. Okay, and so the next thing you're going to do is to right-click on the rearview mirror and convert to symbol, and give it a name for this symbol. I called mine RV mirror. So you can see over here in my library panel I have RV mirror. And so if I back out, you can see we've already got a movie clip here for the rearview mirror. If I go to properties, you can see instance of RV mirror. Okay. And I've given it an instance name of RV mirror _ MC. Now this isn't important to what we're doing. It's just good practice to give an instance name to your movie clips, but Unreal doesn't really care. Scaleform doesn't really care about this movie clip. All it really cares about is the texture inside of it, and so we've already set that up properly. Now, one other thing that you might want to do in this case, I've got a rounded rearview mirror. The corners are rounded here. However, when the texture is replaced, the texture is actually a rectangle. Obviously, no texture is rounded. It is a full, has 90-degree corners. So I created a mask, and if I turn that on, you can see it. So here's my mask, this red image here. It is a rounded, cornered rectangle that fits within the boundaries of this rearview mirror. If I didn't use this mask, the external texture that would be placed here would have little corners popping out here of what the scene capture actor in Unreal shows. So the mask keeps that from happening. One thing to keep in mind here on this movie clip that the texture is inside of is that if you do not set up some color effect information on it, the movie clip will render transparent in Unreal. So what you want to do is select this movie clip that contains the image, and on the properties panel open the color effect rollout, set the style to advanced, and then alpha should be at 100%, and then XA plus could be about 200. The max on that is 255, and that should give you a nice kind of faded but not transparent image to go into the rearview mirror there. Okay, so that just about does it for the Flash file. However, in my case, I have a little action script that the Flash file tells Unreal to do something with an external interface, specifically to go ahead and set the external texture to this rearview mirror. This does not need to be done. What I'm about to show you, you could have done this in Unreal Script, but just go ahead and show you now by pressing F9, bringing up the Actions panel. I have a simple external interface call here, firing off a function SetRenderTexture, and this will be my function in Unreal Script that does all of the work to set the texture. However, again, this did not need to be done here. It could have been done in Unreal Script. I could have simply, in my HUD's init function or start function, I could have fired off this function as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at the Unreal Script now to see how we actually do the code. So here is SF Racing HUD. This is my HUD that extends GFX Movie Player, and the only really a few things we need to do here to make this work. So first of all, we have a variable which is a texture render target 2D, and our variable name is rearviewRT. Okay, and this is the actual variable. This will hold the actual render texture. Okay, now this brings us down to our function SetRenderTexture. Again, this is the function that is fired off in Flash by the external interface call. And again, I could have instead simply fired off this function right here in my init function in Unreal Script. So it would have worked either way. And all this function really does is it uses the SetExternalTexture GFX Movie Player function, and it passes two arguments. The first argument, in quotes, it must be in quotes because it's expecting a string, is the name in Flash that we gave the class name of our texture. So if you recall, it was rear view mirror, all lowercase, no spaces. The second argument that it passes is, of course, rearviewRT, which is our texture render target 2D, and this will be referring again to the actual render texture, which is something we'll set up here in Unreal and the editor in just a second. And that's it. The last line that we need is in our default properties. As you know, default properties are variables that are set by default in Unreal Script, and so we need to define what rearviewRT is. And so rearviewRT equals texture render target 2D, because it is a texture render target 2D, and then single quote UDK SF Racing, that is the package name, dot rearviewRT, that is the actual name of the render texture I will be using, and close that with a single quote. Okay, and that's it for the Unreal Script. Now we'll go into the editor, and you can see here already I have a car and a scene capture 2D camera actor right here behind the car. Before we go any further on that, let's open the content browser, and I will show you how my texture render target is created. So let's see if we can find it. Okay, so I have my package here in the content browser, UDK SF Racing, and I have imported the SWF SF Racing HUD and all of the images with it. And you can see here rearviewRT, there's my render texture. That is simply created by right-clicking and choosing New Render Texture Render Target 2D, and give it a name. I chose rearviewRT. That matches my Unreal Script, and then of course the size, height, and width. I set mine to 512 by 128, 512 by 128, because it's a longer rectangular shape, just like a rearview mirror would be, and that will create the Texture Render Target 2D. Now, in order to use this, in order for the scene capture actor to spit out its images to this render target, we'll select it so that it is highlighted in yellow. Close the content browser, select our scene capture 2D actor, press F4, and under scene capture, open capture, you'll see texture target. We'll click there, hit the green arrow, and that will fill it with the rearviewRT render target. And that is it. There are some settings that you might want to change, near plane, far plane, that has to do with how far the camera sees as far as clipping, and I've set mine to 100 and 500,000. enabled fog, and view mode I set mine to lit, scene capture view lit. Well, that's really it. Okay, and then of course I put the camera behind the car. This is for prototyping. Obviously you'd want to do this in script if you were doing something more permanent. This is just a prototype. The camera is directly behind the car and facing opposite 180 degrees of the car's direction. Then I open Kismet. Okay, so I have a on-player spawned event, and when the player spawned, I do an enter vehicle. That would be new action pawn enter vehicle. And when the vehicle has been entered on the out, I have an attached to actor. Okay, that would be attached to actor under new action actor attached to actor. All right, and then I connect the out to the end there, and I select my scene capture actor, right click, new object variable using scene capture actor, and that will be connected to the attachment of the attached to actor because that's what we want to attach. I'm not actually attaching the camera to the vehicle in this case. My prototype simply attaches it to the player. So we would right click, new variable, player, player, right? And that would create the variable here. We'll set the target to that player variable on attached to actor as well as the target on enter vehicle. So the player will enter the vehicle. And the vehicle factory that we want him to enter is done simply by selecting the vehicle here, right clicking, new object variable using UT vehicle factory. All right, and that's it. That's it for our prototyping. Okay, so once you've done all that, you saved your packages, you saved your level, you've compiled your scripts. All you need to do now is hit play. And so we can see right away that I am in the vehicle as my prototyping has done, and the camera is pointing backwards in the rearview mirror. We can see the actual external texture replacement with the render texture from the scene capture 2D actor. And if I move around now, the camera follows the vehicle properly, and we can see behind us. If I were to shoot backwards, we see that working as well. All right, so that's all you had to do to set up a external texture to do something like a rear view mirror. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and we'll try to get some new ones out to you as soon as we can.